I just really want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our faith leaders, our business owners, representatives of various organizations, including labor and more. Thank you. I also want to recognize Daniel Kemp and his team for putting this together for us, the March on Alaska. He's a family man, a businessman, and he stands for equality and justice, and he's a member of the Alaska Black Caucus. So thank you for showing him some love. We also, as I mentioned earlier, want to thank the NAACP for their partnership in this effort. You'll hear more from the president of the NAACP in just a moment. Today, right now, we gather as one community, lifting up one another, encouraging each other, providing hope, showing love. It's a new day begun, a new day. It's time out for polarization. It's time out for painful division. It's time out for systemic racism. It's time to start working toward our beloved community. The beloved community that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and our Congressman John Lewis envisioned, as well as many others. We need and we must have beloved community to advance everyone, regardless of race, regardless of ethnicity, regardless to where people live, what their zip codes are. We need equality for everyone. And as many of you know, this march was originally planned to take place on August the 28th, to coincide with the March on Washington that occurred way back when in 1963, and the one that was held recently, where we know that Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his what? His I Have a Dream speech. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, we moved the march, and of course it's today. So today, we take a step forward on America's rocky but righteous journey towards justice. 65 years later, we still struggle. We struggle for justice, police reform, and dismantling mass incarceration, and declaring, yes, Black Lives Matter! We have a full program, and I know you didn't come to hear from me, so let's welcome to the stage our mayor, Mayor Ethan Berkowitz.
Thank you, Celeste. Thank you for masking up. Yesterday, there was a banner behind me, 4 banners that said, Black Lives Matter. So stay with me, Black Lives Matter. Because you can deface a banner, but you cannot deface a dream. You can take down words, but you cannot change the truth. And the truth is this, that in this country, which is built on a promise of liberty and justice for all, that until Black Lives Matter, America cannot be America. I cannot say what's in the hearts of those who try to divide this community. But I can say that the power of a dream, the power of ideals is much greater. That if we move forward, if we live up to the promise of what this country is supposed to be about, if Anchorage leads the way, we can be a light. We can show how to be done. And in this community, as we seek to overcome structural racism. We are doing things to dismantle. We are putting forward an office of equity and justice so that every day there will be an opportunity for someone to get up and make right the wrongs that have too long festered. And in this community, which celebrates the fact that we have more diversity in our school system, we are going to show that here in Anchorage, Alaska, there is opportunity for all of us to make a more just, a more equitable world. United. And people might try and mock us and might try and silence us. But this is a dream that has been brewing for a long time. They will not mock us, they will not silence us, and we will work together and we will make it true. Today, as we march on Alaska, we remember the legacy that we have. Those who sacrificed much to take us to this place. And we honor their commitment by rededicating ourselves to those values. Yes! So thank you, and remember, Black Lives Matter.
All right, that was our mayor, Mayor Ethan Berkowitz. Let's give it up for Mayor Ethan Berkowitz one more time. All right, Mayor Ethan Berkowitz. And as our Assembly Chair, Felix Rivera, comes to the podium, I just want to remind everyone to make sure you get your red ribbons tied around your wrist, because we will be standing in solidarity later on in the program. So, Felix Riviera, I see something making its way here.
You on?
And also, please remember to keep your masks on and to socially distance. Thank you so much again for being here.
Good afternoon, everyone. So today, we are here because of local organizers who put this event together. So can we give all a round of applause for the wonderful local organizers who put this together? So today is an auspicious day. Today we are here to commemorate and to honor two important occasions. One is Labor Day and the important benefits that we all have received from the labor movement. The second is the 57th anniversary of the March on Washington. And we here are a testament to the reincarnation of that movement which began in the 60s. So thanks to everyone for being here to celebrate these two important movements. They had two things in common. One, they were both led, in part, by people of color. People of color were strong leaders in both movements. And second, they both were done taking the status quo. They were done with it. They said, tomorrow is a new day, and tomorrow we will overcome, because we are here together to fight systemic racism. We're here together because even though some may shout all lives matter, we know that all lives can't matter until Black lives matter. And so I am here to tell you today that I'm done with systemic racism. Are you done with systemic racism? That's why the Anchorage Assembly approved an Office of Equity and Justice so that we could do our part to fight systemic racism. Because it isn't just in policing, it's in healthcare, it's in education, it's in banking, and the list could go on. So we need to fight systemic racism in all its parts. And I want to thank everyone for being here. For as long as I am chair of this assembly, we will continue working together in solidarity to fight systemic racism. Thank you so much.
With this bad self, our Assembly Chair, Felix Rivera. Let's give it up for Felix. And now we're going to hear from the president of the NAACP. Of course, we know that the NAACP is the largest and oldest civil rights organization in the world. And with that, Mr. Kevin McGee.
Good afternoon, Anchorage. For the past 13 years, since before Barack Obama was elected president, in part by breaking through the Solid South, we have been working to build coalitions for transformative change in American public life. When we saw millions of Americans, black, white, brown, Asian, and indigenous, marching together against police violence and systemic racism, this past summer, we knew we were witnessing the kind of coalition that has the potential to transform this nation. The Trump campaign also knows this. Taking a page from the last time a movement like this grabbed the attention of mainstream America in the 1960s, President Donald Trump and company went on the offensive. If a law and order message that demonizes protests worked then, they think it can work again now. To stop the political violence, we must also confront the radical ideology that includes this violence, Trump said. He told this to Wisconsin law enforcement officials last Monday. Reckless far-left politicians continue to push the destructive message that our nation and law enforcement are oppressive and racist. History demonstrates that we must not discount such a strategy. Fear has been a powerful force in our common life. We need people who have suffered from divide and conquer politics for the past 50 years to see through the lies and stand together against a con that hurts all of us. Indeed, this is the only way we have ever pushed toward a more perfect union. At the Republican National Convention 2 weeks ago, Trump sounded so much like George Wallace in 1968 that he could be charged. Our system is under attack, Wallace told a crowd of supporters at Madison Square Garden in 1968 when he ran as a third-party candidate for president after gaining national attention as a ruthless defender of Jim Crow segregation in Alabama. Anarchy prevails today in the streets of the large cities of our country, making it unsafe for you to even go to a political rally, he said. Like Trump, Wallace also went to great lengths to claim that he was the least racist person in politics. Quote, "I want to say before I start on this any longer that I am not talking about race," Wallace said. The overwhelming majority of all races in this country are against the breakdown of law and order as much as those who are assembled here tonight. But Wallace knew, and Richard Nixon and the Republican Party learned from them, that law and order appealed to white people's racial fears in ways that would compel them to vote for decades in defense of an unjust system. Just 3 years earlier, standing outside Wallace's governor's office in the Alabama State House, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had explained how the Southern aristocracy used racial fear to pit poor white people against poor black people. Exposing the fraud of systemic racism, King declared that it may be said that the Reconstruction era of the Southern aristocracy took the world and gave the poor white man Jim Crow. And when his wrinkled stomach cried out for food that his empty pockets could not provide, he ate Jim Crow, a psychological bird that told him that no matter how bad off he was, at least he was a white man. The GOP's so-called Southern strategy was designed to ensure that poor white people heard Wallace's message, not King's, for half a century. The politicians who use this narrative to appeal to white voters have sold out poor and working class Americans of every race.
That's right.
Inequality in America is greater today than at any point since the beginning of the 20th century. And the coronavirus has sent us spiraling into an economic and public health crisis that only reveals how poor black and brown people suffer first and worse in our broken and unjust system. Black Americans are 3 times more likely than white Americans to die from COVID-19. More black Americans are killed by police each year today than we were lynched at the height of the Jim Crow era. At the same time, employment remains down 20% from pre-pandemic levels for people making less than $14 an hour, even as employment has increased for those making more than $32 an hour. Trump did not create the poverty and inequality that COVID-19 has exposed, but his policies have exacerbated our systemic inequalities, even as he failed response to the coronavirus has needlessly killed tens of thousands of Americans and left us scrambling to deal with outbreaks as most other nations, including China, have mostly suppressed the virus and returned to a semblance of normal. In the spring of this year, Trump's campaign made it clear that he planned to run for re-election on a promise of voodoo economics. The myth that a stock market boosted by tax cuts mean the economy is doing well for everybody. Trump said, in fact, slow to respond to the initial outbreak of the coronavirus in China because he did not want the emerging public health crisis to damage a trade deal with China that he hoped would boost U.S. markets. 6 months later, Trump cannot run on his record. If most people look honestly at what he has done for them and their communities, they will not vote for him again. Therefore, Trump knows that his only hope is to divide and distract. It does not matter if the horrors he warns of in, quote, Joe Biden's America are in fact happening on his watch. Fear is a powerful force, and people who have been taught to fear any challenge to the systems of our common life can easily be led to believe that however bad things are, they could get worse. But we cannot play that game. We are less safe today than we were 4 years ago. Our president has failed to protect us from a deadly virus. Our senators have refused to provide needed relief. And our elites for decades have defended a system that benefits them while most of us have become poorer and more indebted. We know that the force of a nonviolent movement is greater than the division that has been sown. Our cause is as righteous as the original Tea Party, the Underground Railroad, the sit-in movement of 1960, and the march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Trump wants us to turn our focus From racist policing and his administration's bad policies to guys riding around in trucks. No thank you. When Trump supporters are riding around with flags and guns, lies and loud mouths, we will stand tall in all of our diversity. And we will also look at them not with fear, but pity. These people are being used to advance an agenda that does not benefit most of them. Trump, we know you would like life to be the young man who was killed in Portland, Oregon, a martyr for your cause. But he is simply one more victim of a political strategy that will only lead to more violence if you are reelected. When you spread lies to stir up violence in our streets, we will march on under the banner of truth. We will not allow you to remake us in the image of your fears. Mothers have linked arms in Portland to demonstrate our power. Fathers who have lost their precious children have renounced violence while demanding change. Athletes who come from the communities that are suffering are standing with us because they do not stand with you. No nonviolent act is more powerful than voting. And we cannot wait for the vote together in November for the healing of this nation. Trump, you have reminded America how powerful fear can be. We intend to show you, as Dr. King and the movement showed George Wallace, that love and justice are still more powerful. At the conclusion of today's rally and march, there's also an event that's happening on 9th Avenue at the west end of the park strip to visit an outdoor photo display of Congressman John Robert Lewis. Thank you.
Jasmine with Black Lives Matter. Jasmine Smith.
So anybody who knows me knows I don't write nothing down. I just speak from the heart. So when we first brought Black Lives Matter here to Alaska a few years ago, I knew what it was gonna be, and it has been a hard experience in terms of some of the hate that we've got, the emails, the texts, the threats to myself, people who supported my kids and family. And hearing these people drive around and rev up their engines and yell obscenities brings a very open feeling if you're Southern. So we all know what that means, right? But my challenge today is stay true to what it's about. Black lives do matter. That's right. And it goes beyond hashtags, it goes beyond a trend, it goes beyond what's cool right now, it goes beyond the media, it goes beyond an organization. It's deeper than that. I live Black Lives Matter every day of my life. My life matters. I'm a black woman. I'm here, I'm raising black kids. I see racism every day in Anchorage. It is so real. It doesn't look like how it looks in Lower 48, but that doesn't mean it's any less real. It's here. And for anybody in denial, it's here. And when you have people who are supposed to be your neighbors riding around, revving up their engines, yelling obscenities and cussing around kids, that pisses me off. Because there's ways we can do this. We can stand up, we can be part of the movement and let them know, I don't care about your damn engines revving. I'm not going anywhere, and pardon the words. So we'll say it again together. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Say my name.
Say my name.
Say my name.
Say my name.
I can't breathe.
I can't breathe.
I can't breathe.
I can't breathe.
Hands up, don't shoot.
Hands up, don't shoot.
Hands up, don't shoot.
Hands up, don't shoot.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
And don't ever let anybody make you afraid. Don't let anybody rev their engines at you. Let the kids know you're supported. You don't have to be afraid. Be proud of who you are. We're in this movement for a reason. It's needed, and we're not going to stop the movement. It's going to keep going. And for the pastor and everybody out here, and Celeste, pardon my words, but Celeste knows me. I was standing in the back getting angrier and angrier, and anybody who knows me knows I'm very, very chill. But I'm very big on saying this movement is for the whole family. And our kids are never gonna know what this is about and how important this is if they can't be a part of it. And they can't be a part of it safely because people wanna act ignorant. That's counterproductive what we're trying to build. Thank you.
The Rasmussen Foundation, Miss Alexandra McKay, and she's the vice president. It looks like Rasmussen Foundation is in the house, y'all.
Hi everyone, it's an amazing turnout. So Rasmussen Foundation was founded 65 years ago. Oh, you can't hear me? Sorry about that. How's that? You're 6 feet away from me. Rasmussen Foundation was founded 65 years ago, and our mission is broad: to provide a better life for all Alaskans. The country's been gripped by the murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Jane Thompson, and we know there have been so many more. It's united many, which is really encouraging, but divided others. But we're here in Alaska, and Alaskans are different. Diane Kaplan, our president and CEO, challenged us as staff to commit to the catalyst of change that the foundation's leader imagined us to be. So I went back and I read the words of Elmer Rasmussen, and he wrote to the Senate in support of the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act. And he said he really believed that we needed the resources and dedicate the resources so that all Alaskans can participate in the development and the leadership here in Alaska, in our state. And he said the greatest undeveloped resource we have in Alaska is our people. Elmer believed, and the foundation believes, that for our state to be successful and really get through this pandemic and the economic hardship, everyone in the population has to have the opportunity to develop and lead in our state. And we know that there's disproportionality in the economic situation and in the pandemic response in communities, and we're trying to do our part, and it's small, but the foundation's tried to reach out to organizations led by and serving Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, and will continue to. But here we are, we're in this state, this young state in this ancient land, and working against racism, it's not a Democratic or Republican thing. Many of us here are independent, we're Alaskans. And it takes all of us. It doesn't matter whether we are one of Alaska's original people, the Alaska Natives, or if you, your parents, or your ancestors immigrated into this state like my African American and Korean family did. We can't afford to let structural racism deny each of us our individuality, and for some of us, our lives. Because believing in the inherent value of each of us is an Alaskan thing, and Alaskans work together to get whatever needs to be done. You know, we roll up our sleeves and we do it. And I want to say to the folks in the back who are sharing that all lives are created equal and that all lives matter, I agree with you, but I want to share something my son said to me. And he said, you know, the fire department is responsible for all lives. When they go into a neighborhood, they don't put out fires, they don't water and hose down all the houses. They put out the fire at the house that's on fire. That's right. And right now, the Black House is on fire. So let's come together, we're Alaskans, and we've got this.
From young people. We're going to hear from our young people from the Faithful Few and Jack and Jill. And so, please, Cameron, Zelda, Sanitha, and Aaron, please come forward. The mic is all yours.
y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Woo!
What is a hero? Where does it come from? But most importantly, what is your definition of a hero? For those who don't know, the word hero comes from the Greek, and it means protector or defender. The dictionary's definition states that a hero is a person who is admired or idealized for courage, outstanding achievements, or noble qualities. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Cameron Snow, and I'm a future athletic trainer and an upcoming YouTuber who happens to be a mama's boy.
Woo!
She inspires me to inspire the uninspired. She surrounds me with the support and love, even though she gets on my nerves sometimes. Sorry.
You got this! You can do it! You got it! You got it! Woo!
My definition of a hero is a combination of 3 words: strength, knowledge, and integrity. But today I wanted to take the time and remind this community what heroes look like and who they can be. Celebrities, athletes, medical surgeons, artists, soldiers, and etc. are different types of people who have demonstrated the qualities it can take to become a hero. And although the list does go on, I wanted to talk to you about some people that have stuck out to me throughout my time here on Earth. Kobe Bryant, a talented African-American NBA player who has led the Los Angeles Lakers to 5 championships.
Woo! Woo-hoo!
Chadwick Boseman, an African-American actor who has ended up becoming a big-time role in the recent Marvel superhero Black Panther movie.
Woo!
Martin Luther King Jr., who was an African-American leader who helped lead the African-American civil rights movement. And for all you ladies out there, Rosa Parks, the mother of the civil rights movement, helped aid Martin Luther King with the African-American rights movement. Just like all and many other inspirational leaders, no one is perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. But even if you're not a celebrity or someone with a lot of money, does not mean that you can't be a hero. Being a hero can be as small as teaching someone how to walk or read to building a healthy, strong, and stable community. Nowadays, people who wear a badge and a uniform are not known as heroes, but instead as enemies. Unfortunately, in this society, actions speak louder than words. But badge or no badge, money or no money, anyone and everyone have the option to be a hero in someone's life. Whether it is a neighbor or someone's child or even a family member, go make a difference. Go make an impact. Go stand up for what's right. Stand up for what's right and watch the difference so that it can bring on your life. Now, I'm not saying become a vigilante or put on a cape and you got superpowers or anything like that. But cape or no cape, black or white, go make a positive impression and impact in someone's life. I challenge you to do at least 3 good deeds with someone every week. It could be either the same person or someone different. It's your choice. But before I close, I wanted to leave you off with this. We are all here for a purpose. My purpose is to inspire the uninspired. What's yours?
Can y'all hear me okay? Yeah. Alright, just had to make sure, okay? Because seems, some of the kids in the back aren't listening while the teacher is teaching.
Yeah.
Get your notebooks, your textbooks, start recording this. You're going to want to remember this, alright? Greetings all who are here today and who aren't, alright? I come to you not just as a youth American of this society, all right, but as a member of this community. My name is Aaron Richard, and I am a youth member of the Jack and Jill of America.
Woo!
Just like someone who drowns in 7 feet of water compared to someone who drowns in 30 feet of water, all right, neither are invalid. All right, the only problem is when someone tries to invalidate one of them because of their own opinions. All right. I stand here today ready to share my thoughts and feelings about the racial inequalities that are happening in this world today. The truth is, these racial inequalities have never stopped. From the days of ruling of Africa to the moment we nominated our first black woman vice president. We have and are still fighting an uphill battle that is taking a toll from one generation to the next. When I take the time to process the centuries that African Americans have fought for freedom, a chance to live for our own will in our own homes, and above all, to make our own choices, then the years that the African Americans fought for social inequalities, to have simple rights, to use the public restroom, all right? The term systematic racism plagues my mind. Now, even though in the law there is no systematic racism, it is still a problem. It has existed for more than 100 years from our ancestry in Africa to today's society here in America. And we will still be faced with injustice for around 100 years if we don't fight against it.
Woo!
Tell me, what am I supposed to do as a black male living in society today? Do I cut my hair?
No.
No, all right? Just for fear of societies? How about do I change the color of my skin like they tried to do to us in the 1700s? No.
Woo!
In 1963, when Martin Luther King gave his speech, all right, we were deciding if racism was bad or not. We decided it was bad. However, some people, the kids in the back, texting on their phones, talking while the teacher is talking, and making jokes, all right, seem to, not been listening about the importance of studying history so we don't repeat these mistakes.
Woo!
Oh yeah, one more time. Alright? Listen, history should not be repeated. Alright? Black Lives Matter.
Woo!
So I ask for you guys, join with me. Help me decide for them that racism, believe it or not, is bad.
Woo!
Tell me, will you stand with me to help keep the chains afloat? Not just in this moment, not just today, but tomorrow, next week, and 10 years from now. Because when we all do it together, our impact moves mountains.
Hi, everyone.
Hi!
My name is Cynthia Wright, and I am the member of Jack and Jill. 57 years ago, Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream. On August 28th of 1963, he went to Washington to tell everybody about the world he foresaw in his dreams as they surrounded the Lincoln Memorial. 65 years ago, Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat
at the front of the bus to a white man on December 1st of 1955. 171 years ago, in September 1849, Harriet Tubman ran away and escaped from slavery with her two brothers, Ben and Henry. 63 years ago, Daisy Bates, the forgotten heroine of the Civil Rights Movement, who led charge to terminate all-white Central High School in the Little Rock Arc. 42 years ago, Maya Angelou wrote a poem called Still I Rise. In stanza 1, she wrote, "You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I rise." In stanza 5, she also said, "You may shoot me down with your words. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like dust I rise." This was published in 1978. 1 year ago, a famous artist, Beyonce, made a song called Brown Skin Girl with her daughter, Blue Ivy Carter. In the song they made, Beyonce sang, "Same skin that was broken be the same skin that is taken over." These 6 people had a common dream, which is change. You see, I think everyone needs change. It is key to a better world. If we could learn not to hate one another by the color of our skin, we wouldn't have so many problems like we do now. There wouldn't be protests or riots. Target would not have to be destroyed just to prove a point.
Don't mock a child! You go, girl!
Most of us wouldn't have to worry about losing a son, brother, husband, father, boyfriend, cousin, friend, or nephew, all because a civilian or officer thinks they fit the description. I believe those words are of the devil, because the meaning can change at any moment. I could be walking down the street to Holiday, grabbing a snack one day, and all of a sudden, I could fit the description.
Come on, girl. Yeah.
And I know, even though they make us believe it's because of what we wear, I know for a fact it's not because of that. It's because of the color of our skin. And because of that, I automatically fit the description. And it's not fair that we had to deal with this for generations, and we still have to deal with this now. Black Lives Matter. Thank you, everybody.
I see a lot of faces today. Is that better? For those who don't know me, I'm Zelda Zalatel, and I believe that Black Lives Matter because thanks to Black people, we have a lot of things. Like traffic lights, dishwashers, super soakers, and many more things. We use a lot of stuff that Black people made every day, constantly. And lots of people have made a difference, like Ruby Bridges, Martin Luther King Jr., and Obama, and many more. Many people think that racism's bad, and I agree with them. I don't want to be judged by the color of my skin, and I don't think anyone else does either. Like Martin Luther King Jr. said, I have a dream that everyone would be equal and have rights to do the same things as white people. And I think all of you guys have dreams too. Thank you.
All right, let's give another round of applause to our young people. And so I'm going to ask Pastor Matt Schultz from First Presbyterian Church if he can come and take the podium.
Hello, neighbors. Is Zelda a hero? I do believe it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood because we are here from many different religions, many different backgrounds, many different skin colors, and yet we are all still here to remember a dream of a beloved community that is still within our reach. My denomination, the PCUSA, proudly and clearly proclaims that Black Lives Matter. Black lives are created in God's own image, and we proclaim that the gospel is found wherever oppressed people struggle for justice. And so, if you speak out against that struggle, you speak out against the very gospel of our Lord. Among the many things we're calling for today is unity, but I don't know that I can. Certainly, Dr. King's dream had a call for unity within it. He said our sisters and brothers will sit down at the same table and our children will play together. Unity is a beautiful, beautiful goal, but it's the end of the goal, not the beginning. Unity only lives when racists are transformed by love and when oppressors are unseated. Unity only lives within the healing grace of reconciliation. In the words of Bishop Tutu, only an honest confrontation with reality can bring real healing. Superficial reconciliation can only bring superficial healing. Racists need healing. Racists need to be unseated from their power. Reconciliation, which shouts loudly that Black lives are protected and Black lives are beloved, is what we're looking for. We can't silence the calls for justice and reconciliation in order to rush on forward to the unity that we want so badly. The attempts to silence calls for justice by brushing past them into calls for unity have been taking place since the day Jesus Christ was lynched.
That's it.
So in the spirit of reconciliation, in the spirit of justice and love, I will invite you to join me in a prayer. And I'm simply quoting Mary McLeod Bethune in this prayer here. Join with me, please. We send a cry of thanksgiving for people of all races, creeds, classes, and colors the world over, and pray that through the instrumentality of our lives, the spirit of peace, joy, and fellowship shall circle the world. We know that this world is filled with discordant notes, but help us, God, to so unite our efforts that we may all join in one harmonious symphony for peace and brotherhood, justice and equality of opportunity for all God's people. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. And now, please welcome to the podium my sister from First Alaskans Institute, Ayu Kasatak.
Uvalotak. Good day. Ayu Rurunga. Ungalaflik Milrunga. I am Ayu Kasatak. My family comes from Ungalaflik, also known as Yunlakleet on the western coast of Alaska along Norton Sound. I just spoke in introduction that my mother and my grandparents were not allowed to speak in our own language. I've been asked to speak to the difference between equality and equity. And I have to tell you, I'm struggling with it. Because equality means that we are all treated the same. When in our history as a country has our white family ever been treated how we have been treated? Ever. For indigenous peoples of this land, our languages were stolen out of our mouths. Violence inflicted on our bodies, violence inflicted on our minds to tell us that we were not equal to white men and women. Tell me how we have ever experienced equality. For our Black family, this understanding of the history of our country being built on stolen indigenous lands on the backs of stolen African enslaved peoples. How could we ever believe that this country has truly been equal when the policies and the laws that have been constructed for centuries suppressed us while building wealth and prosperity for our white family? Everyone equally after centuries of policies have constructed the inequalities that we experience is unjust. To treat everyone equally, to give everyone the same things after some of us have been so disenfranchised through the laws and the policies of this land continues to maintain that disparity. We need instead to be thinking about, talking about, and building towards equity. Equity understands what has been taken and restores and reckons with that. I've been feeling emotional all day.
It's all right. We love you.
Alaska is, always has been, and always will be a Native place. It's what makes us special. It's what makes Alaska special, the indigenous peoples who have cared for these lands since the beginning of time for everyone's benefit. If I, an indigenous woman of this place, Alaska, can proudly say, Black Lives Matter, also say that. Black Lives Matter!
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
Koyana Kbak.
Now she's got me emotional here. Anyway, please, as I welcome my pastor, Pastor Andre Parker of Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church, to the podium, I do want to recognize that we have several assembly members here, as well as Felix, who spoke earlier. We have Christopher Constant, Meg Zalatal and her daughter spoke earlier, and Forrest Dunbar. So Pastor Parker.
Thank you, Celeste, organizers of this great event. Thank you for all of you being here. I've been asked to simply share how we are to love and to love one another. The simple fact is that if there's racism, if there's injustices, if there are disparities, if there are inequalities in any form against another, there cannot be love. As a preacher, I cannot but help to stand on the foundation of what I live by every single day, and that is the Word of God. And the Word of the Lord says in John 15:12, Jesus says, "This commandment I give you, love one another as I have loved you." This love does not cause injustice. This love extends beyond the color of another's skin. This love is in housing. This love is in the departments of economic development. This love is in employment. This love is in every fabric of our society, if in fact we will love one another as Christ has loved us. So as we've gathered today to remember, to acknowledge that we are all one people and we want to build a beloved community, I challenge you, Anchorage. I challenge you, Alaska. I challenge you, America. Let's build a beloved community. Those are just words, but there has to be feet to those words. So what do we do when we leave here? Do we hear a speech from 5, 6 different people? Do we take pictures and remember that we gathered on this day? Do we just hold up a sign and declare, "I'm with you," or do we do something with what we said? I want to challenge everyone that gathered here today to make one commitment. If you've not done so, do it. If you have done it, do it even more. Find somebody that is of another ethnicity, another race, another background, another state, another country, and be intentional about building a relationship with them so that we can start today to build a beloved community. God bless you, and yes, Black lives do matter.
Thank you, Pastor Parker. Please welcome Tiffany Hall from Recover Alaska. Tiffany.
Thank you so much, Celeste. I am honored and humbled to be here today. I was raised here. I'm a daughter, sister, mother, I'm a queer, white-bodied, cisgendered woman, and I'm an alcoholic with over 10 years of sobriety and recovery under my feet. By the grace of God, I got sober before I lost everything. The main thing that separates me from our many brothers and sisters experiencing addiction and homelessness right now is support. Support from my family and friends, but importantly, systemic support. There are so many more barriers for our Black, Brown, and Indigenous community members, and it has to change. Homelessness, addiction, and mental health issues are just a few in a long list of issues that have race-based disparities, not through anyone's personal actions or decisions, but because our systems were designed to advance some people while holding others down. The conversation often goes sideways at this point. People take it personally. People attack others. But it's not about individuals as much as it is about our policies. So what can we do? Be kind. Remember everyone's humanity. Don't judge, just love. And vote. Vote in national elections, but even more importantly, pay attention to local and state level policy and use your voice. We have an amazing assembly right now, and they are doing incredible things in our community, and we have to back them up. And for all of my fellow white-bodied people here, raise up and take on this fight as our own. There is no such thing as non-racist. We must be anti-racist. Push other white people past their fragility and help them to understand that being nice is not enough. We must actively work to change our current broken systems. Talk to your family. Talk to your peers who aren't here at this march today. Be kind, but consistent. Don't let inappropriate jokes or racist commentary go by unchecked. Know that you will mess up, but acknowledge it, get up, and keep going. Black, brown, indigenous people, people of all colors other than white, have been doing this work since the United States began. So it is not our time to be tired yet. Let us all do what we can to strive for more anti-racist thinking, ideas, policies, beliefs, and systems. Stay active. Build the beloved community. Black Lives Matter.
We have a couple more speakers before we start the march, and so I'm saying that so Danielle can get ready. And next to the podium is Mr. Jacob Pennell. He is with our veterans. He's a veteran, and so he's speaking on behalf of veterans. All right.
Give me a second to put this in a man's side. Alright. Morning, everybody. I'm not going to address you today as men and women. Today I'm going to address you as what you are. Today you are warriors. You have seen that there is a disparity in our country, and rather than sit down and remain quiet, you've stood up and said, no, I will not let this stand. That is what a warrior does. A warrior fights for those who need them to. You don't need to do it in the streets. We don't need to draw blood. That's what the voting booth is for. The virus this year has made things a little difficult for our voting. That's not going to deter us. We're going to push forward. We're going to get our ballots. We're going to wear our masks. We're going to make sure that our hands are clean. And we're going to go to the booth and we're going to show them what we're made of. going to be honest with you guys. There's no better group of people I'd rather be associated with. Black Lives Matter.
Thank you for that. Okay, and so our last speaker for this location is Miss Cynthia Gachapin with the Hispanic community. I see that you signed in, Cynthia. Please take the podium.
Hi. Is that good? Can you hear me? Hi. Is that good? In 1966, Martin Luther King Jr. wrote a letter to Cesar Chavez in which he wrote, "Our separate struggles are really one." I believe he was addressing the issue of people of color not always coming together in our fight against injustice. For decades, POC have held protests and marched to demand fair and equal treatment in this country. At times we have marched together, like we are today, and other times we have marched separately. On occasion, we find ourselves hyper-focused on our own injustice and forget the power we have in numbers. But now is not the time to allow ourselves to be divided. POC must come together during these troubling times and unite against those who continue to oppress us in any way that they can find. There is so much power in numbers. If POC and our allies band together, we can accomplish anything. We need to unite during these next couple of months to encourage each other to vote. We must make sure that everyone we know who is eligible to be a registered voter is one. Talk with your family and friends. See who needs help with the registration process. Inform people about mail-in voting, especially if going in person to the polls is what may keep them from voting this year. Let us not allow our vote to be suppressed due to this pandemic. Regardless of who wins in November, we must not become depressed or complacent. The system that separates families and traumatizes children at the border is the same system that held its knee on George Floyd's neck and killed Breonna Taylor. Not only must we remove those in power who openly and blatantly oppress us, but those who quietly maintain the status quo. Those who will proclaim change is necessary and exclaim Black Lives Matter, and then turn around and declare a Back the Blue holiday are no friends of change or progress. Today, we honor those who organized, fought, and died for where we are today. We must recognize that we are on a long march to freedom, and we can only reach our destination together. In solidarity, thank you.
Okay, so somebody asked the question, where are we going to hear the remaining speakers? We don't have that many, but that's going to be once we complete our march, which is to the MLK Memorial. And so without further ado, Daniel, if you could come up and let us know the direction that we'll be heading. Please make sure to keep your masks on, and stay, the social distancing piece as well. We'll march down, and then once we get there, we'll have the remaining individuals speak. There's not that many. We'll do our unity and solidarity as one, and then we'll be able to go home. We will be done no later than 3 o'clock as planned. So thank you so much for being here. Danielle.
All right, well, I guess Celeste finally figured out a way to get me up here and speak, because I really want to speak today. But so here's what we're going to do. We're going to head down 5th Avenue, due west, and we're going to take a left on L Street. We're going to make an L on L Street. All right, and we're going to head all the way down to MLK Memorial. And that is about 1.7 miles, I believe. It should take us roughly 30, 45 minutes to get there. In the meantime, all these nice folks are going to be rearranging equipment so that it'll be down there. It'll be like magic. Okay. All right. So I got to say personally that it gives me so much hope and to see how many folks are out here today. Wow. And I even appreciate all of our naysayers in the back. I appreciate you. I hope you learned something today. Okay? I'm a teacher. I am a teacher and a proud teacher. Okay? So if they're willing to get an education, I will be happy to teach them. All right? No worries. Thank you.
That moved down to me.
As a photographer, yeah. Good with that?
Yep.
Oh my god.
The texts that are coming in where they seem like they're pretty supportive. Yeah.
But and on the other phone,
on the
there
first
was,
one, there was one guy who was like an all lives matter.
Yeah, and then there's like people who keep there's one person who keeps texting some link.
Yeah. But
So,
I think it's
yeah.
like another live stream of the same thing. So.
Even the church one does. Like, okay, you're keeping it in the black community, yeah, for the most part. Yeah. You're right. You did a good job. I heard it like very men. I know. I was just like, I saw you guys have an interaction. I was like, one of y'all said amen.
Right now, that was like.
Celebrating the visit of John Paulson. Wasn't he a rapist? He's the one that Sinead O'Connor tore up the picture of.
Oh, yeah, but I think that's for a lot of other...
Okay.
Because she's Irish, you know.
Well, yeah.
I think that people can hear exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, whatever.
This would be much better if I was on like...
What?
If I was on like a tricycle or something. So like... That'd be cool.
like, Dad, I'm taking Russian. I'm like, yeah. He said, oh, that's so hard, but I'm getting it.
other alphabet.
He said, I'm getting it. I said, man, you should have took. I wanted them to take German because I told us I want your first duty station.
Yeah.
If possible, that you go German. So I think that's
If I
a good
want to visit.
experience. Yeah, and that's a good experience, you know?
Yeah.
It's a great time. Somewhere different. You see different stuff and the history and all that stuff.
Luke's gonna do hopefully a semester abroad in Jordan next spring, as long as the pandemic is under control. We'll see. Yeah. Good stuff. I'm not more proud of him usually. Everyone else
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
that. Have you ever seen girls that like yeah, okay, good. That's what that skater is.
This is at low battery. Okay. We might need to, this is the time where we need to log in with somebody else's account. Yeah. Would you be up for me using your camera to do this? We'd need to log into Facebook.
I have about 25%, but I'm fine donating.
Okay.
I am a little less than that. I'm at red.
Okay.
Sorry.
So this one is at 20, so hopefully it's not gonna. Oh, the other Alaska Black Caucus thing that I highly recommend is attending the Sunday community conversations on Zoom. Every Sunday at 7 p.m. on Zoom. You find it as a Facebook event, and then you get a automatic email with the link. And then once you sign it. You're live. It's not a webinar, but you can also video off if you need to. Okay. And they're just really, really well organized and compelling in their analysis of different subjects. All the different designs. Okay. Do you want me to do that? Do you want to find Noah? Do you want to be the official Facebook Liver, Danielle, for a little bit? Sure. Gonna go around and get people's signs? All right.
I think so too. I've just been like deciding to just take it all as positive. No? We tried to.
Well, you keep messing up like a Stanley wig.
No peace!
Hey, babe.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Are there? I don't know where.
No peace! No peace! No peace! No peace!
How you feeling? Good. So you look good. Like that hat. Thank you. Yes. Without struggle, there is no problem.
Yes. Now you're lonely. You got 8 kids, so you're good to go.
But they're growing now, so. When they come back.
I like your turn. I love that. Thank you. I'm a cat lover.
Touches on something.
Right now, but a lot of people don't put it out everywhere and everything. Friday, like, okay, so I have like
God, where the dollar is sacred.
and then like something that is all like jot down, or if I see an email, I'll just jot it down real quick while I'm in the middle of something, and I forgot that. And he has some sort of like the beeping noise like I feel like I have to like it's me. I know. And like just 17. How do you end that? Oh no, it's French again. Yeah, I just I got the 10% warning. Oh, you did.
The whole except Burlington's going to stay. I don't know what else, but Burlington's going to stay. That's the ball. That's what.
Personal retribution.
All right, everybody. We made it! We made it! With our comments and remarks. We've only got a few, then we're going to join in solidarity, as I shared already. And so next up is Mr. Vince Beltrami, and he is, as everybody knows, the union man of the Center Red, right? Center Red. So if you would come forward, please, AFL-CIO, Mr. Vince Beltrami.
Thank you, Celeste. Good afternoon, sisters and brothers. You know, a list of 10 demands were presented to Congress 57 years ago. And 4 of those demands were driven by the unions and pushed by one of the great labor leaders of all time, A. Philip Randolph, a chief organizer of the March on Washington. Those demands included a massive federal jobs and training program for unemployed workers, wages that provided for a decent standard of living, an expansion of job protection,